So now let us look at what CFX exactly does. What sort of mathematics does it solve? Which sort of algorithm does it prefer to solve the CFD equations? So CFX is based on finite volume method, which is the algorithm, there is a FVM algorithm within CFD mathematics. But what it does is it applies finite volume method on finite element node based numerics. So that is how it is a bit different from Fluent, that is the which is finite volume based software. It also incorporates advanced coupled algebraic multigrid solver. It has full integration of problem definition, analysis, and result presentation. 3 different modules are present for all these activities. And it has a very intuitive and interactive setup process using menus and advanced graphics. So we'll see all these aspects one by one as we go deeper into CFX, understanding CFX as a software, as well as understanding methodology to carry out CFD simulation using CFX. So now this is basically a slide which highlights all the file formats that you need to handle while using CFX. Now don't be overwhelmed by all these different file formats. They may appear scary for some very beginner user of CFX, but we will divide them into different file formats that are easy to basically understand for the first time. So now as a whole package, CFX is divided into 3 different modules. First is ANSYS CFX Pre, the second is ANSYS CFX Solve, and third is CFX Post. Now all these have 3 different functionalities. ANSYS CFX Pre is basically used for only defining the problem setup or boundary conditions, or basically formulating your CFD problem. It doesn't solve the problem, it only formulates the problem or defines the problem. After that, CFX Solver basically solves or computes or does the numerical calculation, like as if it's a calculator. And a CFX Post is basically used to visualize or see all these results. So all have very unique capabilities in themselves, and they are regarded to be best among the commercial softwares for doing CFD in these 3 different functionality domains. So now first we will take up ANSYS CFX Free, which sort of file format it needs in order to formulate a problem. So what it needs is basically a mesh file. Mesh file can be in the form of .gtm, .hex, .out, or any other mesh file format. After that, once it sets up or formulates or defines the problem, CFX Pre writes a file called CFX definition file, which contains all the definition or problem definition, which is used by CFX Solver. And then CFX Solver, after calculating the numerical part, it writes a result in the file in the form of a result file, that is .res file, which is read by CFX Post, and different results can be viewed within CFX Post. Now in addition to all these files, there are also other files that are associated. First among those is basically file formats that are associated with CFX Pre. So CFX Pre also handles CCL files, that is .ccl. It also handles a CFX Pre session file, that is .pre. And these are basically ANSYS CFX previous version case files. Now also CFX Solver handles .out file, or it also writes .out file, which are basically files for input to other post processors, similar something to what ANSYS CFX Pre does for earlier previous versions of CFX. And also CFX Post writes formats in other formats like CFX Post session file or CFX Post state file, that is .se or .cse or .cst, and also CFX profile data in ASCII format, that is .scv. Similarly, CFX Pre can also read in many different files of formats in order to understand, in order to read already available problem definition or edit already available problem definition. First among them is .res file, which can be read back into CFX Pre from result, and understand what basically CFX Pre does is, instead of actually showing you the result, it will show you the problem definition for which the results have been obtained. After that, we also have the .def file that we have already discussed. It can also read in .pre file as well as .csv file. Similarly, CFX Post can also read CFX Post session file, that is .cse file, or CFX Post state file, that is .cst file. So all these files can be inputted into this into these respective software in order to edit already present data, and these files can be written in order to later on read into some other versions. And this is basically the vertical file format which is needed in order to start the next session. So in crux that you have to understand is reading the mesh file in CFX Pre, export .def file from CFX Pre, read that .def file into CFX Solver, solve the CFD problem, export .res file from CFX Solver, and read it into CFX Post in order to see the results of your solution. Now let us take the first step of actually starting CFX on our machine or on our desktop. So for that, we need something called a CFX launcher, which starts CFX in 3 ways: by clicking on shortcut icon on your desktop, which is very simple. Also, by clicking on the icon on the program files, which is also pretty relatively simple. And the third one is by command line, if anybody has a affinity towards using everything by command prompt rather than using mouse. So it can also be started by command line by providing the path in the environment variables in your computer. So we'll see, we'll start a CFX session on our desktop right now. We'll see how the launcher looks and what all it contains. So let us now see how CFX is started. So when we said that we have to first start the launcher, this is what we mean by starting launcher. So if you click on Ansys CFX, it starts a CFX launcher. So this is how the CFX launcher looks like. We select the working directory out here from CFX launcher. We select any of the working directory, then we can start either CFX pre from here, or CFX sol, or CFX post from this. So this is the 13th version, so it is looking at CFD post now. So this is when we click CFX pre, this is when we click CFX solver manager.